in 2016, just to tell a story from my life, and I want to be brief because this isn't about me, but this is just a way that I've seen God work like this in my own life. And some of you were here for it. 2016, I'm feeling the call to ministry. I'm ordained here at Vintage Faith in 2016. I'm working for a fairly large company in Syracuse. And as I felt the call to ministry, I also felt the call to ministry in this area. Not necessarily this church, but in Onondaga County, in Syracuse. I felt like the Northeast. I know the Northeast is just a place where there's not a lot of churches. It's often called hard soil, and I like that. I want just God put something in me to say, hey, stay, do it here. At that time, my company was moving from Syracuse to Greenville, South Carolina. And I initially said, no, I'm not going, I'm staying, and didn't have a job. But the company was really wooing me, trying to get me down there. They needed some kind of continuity between what was up here and what was down there. So they needed a few people, and I was one of them that they thought that they needed. I can remember, I don't know if you've been to Greenville, South Carolina, but it's a really nice downtown, like really nice downtown. And I think it's the Blue Ridge. We were just with Bruce and Ann talking about the Blue Ridge Mountains. I think there's mountains in the background, and if you know me, you know I love mountains. I can remember sitting in my hotel room, and there was a huge temptation. Like, this is easier. There was even a ministry opportunity for me down there, and I wasn't going to lose a job. I'm like, this city is cool. The mountains are here. Like, it was all there. And again, this is when I felt God calling me here, and it was a confusing time. A very confusing time. But I had to get to a point where I had to say, no, I trust you, God. I know that the world, everyone telling me, go, you're crazy for staying. I mean, that was like 90%, not necessarily believers, but there were believers that were telling me that too. Go, you can do ministry anywhere. Go, you got a job. Go, Greenville. There's no snow in Greenville. Go. That was what I was hearing. And I really had to wrestle with God. I had to wrestle with, do I believe what I think he's calling me to? What I've said for the last 2 years before that point, like, hey, I feel like I'm being called to ministry here in Syracuse. And I think it's that God puts those trials, those tests in front of us. And we didn't go, obviously. We're still here. A few months after, and this is really the point of it. A few months after, that company that revenue-wise was $1 billion company. It was a big company here in Syracuse, New York. That July, they went bankrupt. Just wasn't out of nowhere, but it felt like it was out of nowhere. There was a lot of people that were just like, what in the world? How did that happen? And me and a few other bivocational pastors who worked at this company together, we're now kind of working together, doing some things, and it was as if the Lord said, here, this is a piece of that company, you guys manage it now. It was crazy. It was the literally moving of a mountain, and I know that sometimes when we tell personal testimonies, They mean a lot more to us, and they're hard to get across. But it was a time in my life where I felt, hey, God can move mountains. And he does what looks impossible, and he glories in doing it. So I don't know where you're at this morning. I don't know what you're facing. I don't know what the Canaanites in your land or the barren womb, or metaphorically what those things are. But whatever it is, God can transcend the physical. He can move in ways that you just can't even imagine. So trust in him. He is good and he moves.